How do I improve my rank in Valorant? Continues to be one of the most searched up questions here on YouTube and on Reddit. And while I may not be able to provide a specific answer to you, one of the best ways that I think that we can start to address this issue is by looking at the numbers, and specifically looking at what other players at your rank and ranks above you are currently doing. Today I'm hoping to take some of this data and really showcase two different lists at every rank. We're going to look at the 5 most used agents for each rank, and then we're also going to look at the 5 agents that have the best win percentage at each rank. I'm hoping that by doing this, we not only understand where our players leaning when it comes to the different agent choices that you have in Valorant, but also what's working. I've been enjoying diving into the numbers, and I'll be honest, these types of videos are ones that I enjoy the most here on my channel. So if you at any point throughout this video find any of this data helpful, I would appreciate you subscribing, but I would also enjoy if you come on down below into the comment section and let me know some of the struggles that you might have. I do think it's important to be aware of what's the ranked experience like currently. With that said, let's get right into it. The 5 agents that have the most playtime in Iron, they are Sage at 11.4%, Reyna at 10.6%, Clove at 7.7%, Tejo at 5.8%, and Omen at 5.8%. Now for the agents that have the best win percentage, we have Clove at 51.4%, Killjoy at 50.8%, Cypher at 50.4%, Sage also at 50.4%, and Deadlock at 50.2%. In Iron, the key to getting out relies on you learning the mechanics of the game. Odds are that you are new to shooters or playing on the PC for the first time, and thus, what you struggle the most with is fundamentals. Agents like Reyna, Clove, and Tejo arguably see the most playtime because they require very little depth of knowledge when it comes to using their respective kits. Meanwhile, Sentinels like Killjoy, Cypher, Sage, and even Deadlock have the highest win percentages because they impede the most on opponents. Sage and Reyna have left the pack in playtime percentage, meaning that you can almost guarantee you'll see one of them in each team you play in Iron. Cypher and Killjoy setups have a higher success rate in this rank because panic is more common for newer players. If you're looking to rank up, it would not only be a good idea to understand how to counter these setups, but also possibly implement them yourself and pick up one of these agents. There isn't one agent that stands out in one percentage, but you increase your chances by having multiple Sentinels. And now we get into Bronze. The agents that have the most playtime in Bronze are Reyna at 11.1%, Clove at 9.4%, Sage at 8.9%, Jett at 6.5%, and in 5th place, we actually have a tie with Omen and Tejo coming in at 5.7%. Meanwhile, the agents with the best win percentage in Bronze are Clove at 52.6%, Reyna at 51%, Sage and Deadlock being tied for 3rd place at 50.9%, and Killjoy sitting at 50.8%. In Bronze, Jett makes her first appearance in the top 5 list for playtime, and Reyna continues to be a widely picked option. But even so, there isn't an agent that stands out as much as one did in Iron. Sage had a higher gap in Iron than Reyna does in Bronze. Clove has a much more decisive win percentage in Bronze, and although Jett made it in the top 5 for playtime, she is nowhere to be seen in win percentage. This is where, believe it or not, we get the teaser for player egos. Jett's kit relies on being aggressive, but also being able to back the talk. Her ult is dependent on aim, and if Bronze players were really them, we would be seeing Jett hard carrying in win percentage. Notice how Sentinels are still primarily up top in win percentage. Still something to keep in mind, especially for this rank. I stand by my earlier advice that I gave to Iron players. Learn how the Sentinel role impacts the map, pick a Sentinel agent to have in your back pocket, but also start prioritizing either mechanical skill or map awareness. Bronze is the beginning of the hard stuck mentality. So start putting some time in the lab before getting to silver so that you don't let yourself down. And now we get to silver. The agents that have the most playtime are Reyna at 11.3%, Clove at 10.2%, Jett at 8.8%, Sage at 7%, and Cypher at 5.7%. The agents that have the best win percentage are Clove at 52.9%, Vice, Sage, and Reyna being tied at 51%, and Phoenix slightly underneath at 50.9%. This is the rank that everybody and their mom will tell you that they are in because they are hard stuck. This is also the rank with the most players. It's the very first big barrier for a lot of players, and the variance you're gonna find in this rank is crazy. Vice and Phoenix make an appearance for the first time in either of the top 5 lists, with Vice seemingly coming out of nowhere. For this rank, the best tip that I have to give is to focus on your own consistency. This is where the mentality you begin to develop will start to take a toll on you. If you are too focused on what your team is doing, you will begin to blame your teammates. If you are too focused on what your team lacks, you will always go out of your way to fill whatever role or util may be necessary. Because of all the inconsistencies in this rank, focusing on yourself, your capability, your preferences, and ego, or lack of one, is important. Clove continues to dominate in win percentage, and part of this is their ability to mold to the player. Most of these early ranks utilize Clove as a duelist, but this is where you can start putting yourself apart by thinking of how to better utilize their kit. Remember, Clove is a controller. Sentinels no longer dominate win percentage at this rank. Duelists begin to set themselves apart, which can reflect the ego that I was talking about earlier. Lock in.
You have to lock it.
Gold. The agents that have the most playtime here are Clove at 10.8%, Reyna at 10.5%, Jett at 10.4%, Cypher at 5.9%, Sage at 5.6%. The agents that have the best win percentage are Clove at 52.8%, Vice at 51.2%, and a 3-way tie between Sage, Deadlock, and Phoenix at 51%. The easiest way to think about gold is to take everything that I just said about silver and it gets doubled and you're the next person. You can either then take gold and double it and get rid of it by giving it to the next person, or unfortunately end up suffering in gold. Gold is your first real opportunity to rise quickly through the ranks after what was the minefield of silver. But honestly, this is pretty rare. Gold is a grueling time, but at least there is progress, even if sometimes it can be a little slow. But let's talk percentages and philosophies. There are 3 duelists at the top of pick rank percentage, and by a lot, because that discrepancy between Jett and Cypher is almost a complete 5%, and Clove is the only one that makes it onto the top 5 win percentage. Why? Because gold players have that inflated ego I was talking about earlier. And you know that possible scenario that I talked about earlier where I said that there's a chance that you can quickly work your way out of gold? We have 3 Sentinels in the top 5 percentage. That Vice player has locked in and focused on themselves and is making it out with or without you. A duelist may have gotten you through bronze and silver, but this is where you need to ask yourself that hard question. If you really are that carry, or if it's time to hang up the duelist and focus on another class. And we've made our way into Plat. The agents that have the most playtime here are Jett at 11.8%, Clove at 11.3%, Reyna at 9.8%, Cypher at 6.1%, and Chamber at 5.7%. The agents that have the best win percentage here are Clove at 52.6%, Sage at 51.1%, alongside Deadlock and Vice, and Phoenix at 51%. This was my peak, I regret to say. It's been a long time since I've gone on the grind for rank, but the last time I did, I was on the verge of diamond and making that out of plat, and it just didn't happen. I don't think plat players are hard stuck, but this is where that last piece of the puzzle needs to come in for you to break into diamond and beyond. The ego continues to be widely present on players. Jett steals the #1 spot in playtime again, while failing to get anywhere near the top 5 win percentage. The Sentinels are back in the top 5 for win rates, and this is where we finally talk about Initiators, the underappreciated class in Valorant, as it has yet to break into either of the top 5 lists. But this is where your role on a team becomes even more apparent, and the duelist crutch starts to get annoying. Initiators, while not in the top 5s, are rising fast, which gets at the point that having all-around compositions becomes a must if it wasn't already in this rank. Clove continues to be a staple in team compositions, and each agent's kit is widely understood at this point. If you're failing to get out of plat, making sure you have great map awareness, a good understanding of how each agent's kit can benefit from each other, and overall good mechanical skill will be the grind to focus on. Condense your agent pool and master 3 or 4 agents, and stray away from filling and playing agents that you're not comfortable with. Diamond. And the agents that have the most playtime here are Jett at 13%, Clove at 11.7%, Reyna at 9%, Cypher at 6.6%, and Taeho at 5.6%. The agents with the best win percentage are Clove at 52.3%, Sage at 51.4%, Deadlock at 51.2%, Phoenix at 51.1%, and Vice and ISO are tied for that last spot at 50.9%. This is honestly the last rank where you can say anybody can get into by pure chance or getting lucky. After Diamond, the percentage becomes so low that while some of you may claim to be higher than Diamond, you're more than likely not. At this point, the top 5 for win percentage have not changed. They just continue to shuffle around. What's interesting is that Diamond players seem to have doubled down on Jett, and yet she continues to fall short in win percentage. Clove's dominance cannot be disputed at this point. They are the most picked agent that wins, and it's pretty much guaranteed that the Clove on either team will be holding their weight. If you're still playing Duelist, it might be worth giving Phoenix and ISO a chance. Their win percentage has remained somewhat consistent, with ISO tying for 5th this time around. The story in Diamond though is that there is a lot of variability in the team compositions. Taeho, being on the top 5 of playtime percentage with a 5.6%, shows that you can never truly expect a similar team from match to match. Flexibility is important, and I would assume continuing to focus on agent interactions, knowing how to play off of different kits, and continuing to put some time in the lab will help you make it out of Diamond. Ascendant has 2.4% of the total player base, and the agents with the most playtime here are Jett at 14.3%, Clove at 12.6%, Reyna at 8.6%, Cypher at 6.9%, and Taeho at 5.5%. The agents with the best win percentage are Clove at 52.4%, Sage at 52.2%, Deadlock at 51.7%, Phoenix at 51.6%, and ISO at 51.4%. Why did you skip to this section, little bro? You are not Ascendant. But for those of you that didn't, these next couple of ranks are honestly more speculation than anything else, specifically based on the numbers and the patterns that we have seen. Jett, and especially Clove, continues to be some of the most picked agents. Taeho has miraculously made it onto another top 5 percentage list as well. And I mean, do we even have to talk about win percentage? Clove continues to dominate. but Sage is close, sitting only at a 0.2% behind Clove. And as for the other 3 on the list, with Deadlock, Phoenix, and ISO, they're fighting for that 3rd place position pretty hard. Deadlock being up here in win percentage, I think starts to make more sense at higher ranks. As we were coming up some of these ranks, seeing Deadlock on that best win percentage list didn't really make much sense, and I am starting to question whether it was because, you know, there's only a few Deadlock mains and those players lock in, and so that's why Deadlock has that high win percentage. Whereas like somebody like Jet that gets picked a lot at pretty much any rank that you look at has a higher chance of failing, because while a good Jet may pick her out every once in a while, you know, it could just be somebody that wants to, you know, just try a duelist randomly one match that goes Jet and ends up losing that match. So it's a good thing to note why some of these agents might end up on some of these lists, but I digress. So, Immortal. The agents that have the most playtime here are Jet at 15.4%, Clove at 14.1%, Reyna at 8.5%, Cypher at 6.7%, and Raze at 5.3%. The agents with the best win percentage are Sage at 53.5%, ISO at 52.4%, Clove at 52.3%, Phoenix, and Deadlock at 52.2%. The GOAT has finally made the list. That's right, Raze is on the list. Chalk it up, Raze to Radiant. Here we go, buddy. ISO is also apparently really good all of a sudden, soaring up in win percentage. Deadlock is a fraud. Not really, but you know, Deadlock win percentage has started to drop a little bit. And Clove is not number 1. Other controllers exist? I suspect that the pattern we're going to see and why we're seeing Clove drop in win percentage in comparison to other agents is that when it comes to being a controller, which is Clove's actual role, agents like Brim and Omen just have significantly better usage when it comes to being an actual controller. And at this level, if you're gonna go duelist, you might as well fully go duelist. You know, aiming isn't an issue when it comes to Jet. There's probably somebody that's consistently playing the op role on Jet. You don't really need that extra leverage that Clove can provide. So it's very interesting to compare, you know, the top level versus, you know, looking at your iron or bronze ranks and seeing that dependency on Clove and how the top level, you know, that doesn't really just exist. And we've made it to the very top, Radiant. The agents with the most playtime here are Jet at 14.4%, Clove at 13.4%, Raze at 7.2%, Cypher at 6.4%, and Tejo at 6%. The agents with the best win percentage are Gecko at 54%, Sage at 53.9%, Phoenix at 53.7%, Deadlock at 53.4%, and Clove at 53.1%. Gecko is him. Clove actually isn't failing. It's just that the other agents are outperforming them. Raze stays on the list for playtime. We take those. And Jet never left the list when it came to these high ranks. Again, mechanical skill for these high ranks is just off the charts. I mean, I'm not trying to glaze, but these people, they're demons. They've been grinding this game since it came out. They probably played CS before this game was even out, and a large part of these players are all pros, right? But even for the people that aren't pros that are in these ranks, you know, they're just different, I guess. That's the best explanation. They're different. And the one thing to make note of here is that, you know, Gecko coming out of nowhere again talks a little bit to the complexity of these higher rank players get the most out of these agents kits. And for that reason, there are certain agents that are a lot more flexible when it comes to what their abilities can do and what they can accomplish for the team. But when you are at this level, what you care about is the potential for each ability rather than the coverage. So Gecko's Flash, for example, having so much versatility in how it can be used probably is a significant value in comparison to just having a Phoenix Flash or whatever else it may be. Sage also hasn't really left these best win percentages list when it comes to these high ranks. I'm willing to bet that having the ability to revive somebody, especially at this rank, is very important to have. Never mind the fact that Sage has a phenomenal heal when it comes to helping out the team. Deadlock being able to lock down sites with her wall and obviously have the sound sensors to queue in case anybody is coming, you know, on flank or through a specific path. These agents are pushed to their limits when it comes to these ranks. And for the bonus round, I've taken the average across all the ranks and assembled the master list for both sides. So when it comes to playtime, the top 5 agents across all ranks: Reyna at 10.6%, Clove at 10.2%, Jett at 9.4%, Sage at 6.7%, Cypher at 5.7%. And for the best win percentage, to nobody's shock, Clove at 52.6%, Deadlock at 50.8%, Vice at 50.8% as well, Sage at 50.7%, and Reyna at 50.6%. That's it for the list. I think, you know, the averages at the very end pretty much reflect what we've been talking about throughout this entire video. Some patterns were very easy to pick up on, some not so much. I think, you know, when we're looking at who came onto the list at different times, I mean, the fact that Gekko came out of nowhere from the top ropes at the very end, you know, it kind of speaks to what I was talking about at the very beginning of the video. Each rank is different. What might have worked in one rank may not work in another, but also taking into account that each rank is supposed to be reflective that there's a different level when it comes to the players within that rank. So while it's important to look at, you know, if you're currently a bronze player, well, how are people in gold or how are people in diamond playing? Some of those things you might just not be ready to take into yet, but they may work as good aspirations or good goals. If you want to get to a level that a diamond player may have when it comes to reading the map and having that map awareness that allows them to play agents like Deadlock at the ability that they're able to, or even Vice that was on that best win percentage for diamond. You know, those two agents, while they may seem easy to use, are probably best utilized when you know, like, oh, here's a spot that I can put the Vice flash in that people are not going to expect. Or here's where I can set up my sound sensors as Deadlock to give me very important information to know when I need to rotate or when I need to call for backup on a site. I hope you enjoyed looking at some of this data. I hope that some of the patterns made sense. Let me know if you saw some pattern that I didn't cover down below. Let me know your thoughts on what you thought about these ideal quote-unquote team compositions at each rank. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for joining me for this lengthy video. Let me know if you want to see long videos like these. This one was a grueler to go through. And if you stay till the very end, go down in the comments and let me know by typing Gekko from the top ropes, because you and I both know where did Gekko come from. With that said, thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all for the next one.